Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today as we talk about the competitive structure for Star Wars Unlimited. I'm Xander, your guest host for today, and I'm joined today by everyone's favorite organized play program manager, Josh Massey.
Hey, everybody. Feels really weird sitting on this side of the room.
Yeah, we saw everyone's comments that he's on the wrong side, and we understand it, we get it.
When we went live and I didn't get to say hello, it hurt my heart just a little bit.
I try to do it a little bit in your voice, we'll figure it out. But
we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. Like I said, we're going to be talking about the organized play structure, especially the competitive side today. We've already talked about casual, so if you haven't checked that out, we have an article up on our website, as well as a previous live stream saved that is on our YouTube page that you can feel free to go back and check out that side of things. But before we get into competitive structure of organized play, we're going to talk a little bit about what we did this past weekend, or what I did.
I didn't do.
You weren't there.
I wasn't there. I touched my mic, sorry.
So many of you saw, we put it on our socials and Discord and things that we were at TwitchCon. We had a great time meeting everyone that was there. We really just ran demos and did a lot of live streaming. I know Tyler and I were on streams almost constantly the whole weekend. And so we really enjoyed getting to play in front of you all and showing off new cards. So if you haven't checked those out, you can find those on LandFest page on Twitch. And you can also find those cards all over now. We've shared the videos with those. And so those were some pretty big named characters. So I know we were really excited to chat about that. We also were giving out event exclusive promo cards that you all might have seen at Spiel, different events, Gen Con and things. And those are the Darth Vader and Luke hyperspace cards. So we want to make sure that everyone knows that those are officially the cards that we will be giving out up through launch of the game.
Yep.
Those are the event exclusives. Who knows event exclusives after that? What that looks like?
Who knows? I don't know anybody who would know the answer to that question.
Definitely not me. But we just want to let you all know that those are what you can expect to find at some of the other events like PAX Unplugged and things like that we'll be having come up soon. We also had a event exclusive playmat of Maximum Firepower art, which was amazing. We had some really great feedback. So thank you to everybody who stopped by the booth and picked those up. We had a great time playing on those playmats. And then I know Tyler was signing a bunch throughout the weekend and just hanging out. So it was super fun to see you all there and also see you all in chat. Our last thing that besides some cards at TwitchCon, we also confirmed for those of you that did not already do the math in your Excel sheets that we have seen, the number of leaders in the first set. So just wanted to reiterate that here for you all that maybe didn't see those streams, that we do have 18 leaders in the first set. Mm-hmm. 2 of those are exclusive to the 2-player starter.
Yep.
Luke and Vader, obviously. And then the other 16, some of them we have not shown yet. Half of them we've shown?
Most. Maybe not half? Quite most. Yeah.
Some really fun ones coming up soon.
Yeah, I know.
Your favorite is?
Tyler didn't spoil anything.
No. We have some really fun ones to show, and you all are figuring out, what the meta looks like for you currently. Yep. But there's, 50% of the card pool to go, so it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, and you guys, I wasn't there, but you got to work with some pretty cool people while you were out there too, right?
Yeah, we got to. I know Tyler. Unfortunately, I didn't get to work with them on the games,
right.
But Tyler did get to play with Critical Bard and Talia Vest. So shout out to them for coming on our stream and learning to play Unlimited. I know they had a great time, it seemed like, and we really are excited to play with more people that want to be streaming the game or just playing at events and things. So it's going to be super fun to see what that looks like after launch too.
Sweet.
Cool. So now that we've gone over TwitchCon, it's time to get into organized play. So the C3OP. Do you want to go over that again for everyone who?
Yeah. So we'll talk about C3OP really quick. This is the 3 C's of organized play, which are connect, collect, and compete. If you're new to the stream, this is what we're focusing on for Star Wars Unlimited. Obviously, today we're going to be talking a lot more about that third option, the competition piece of this, as this is the competitive play live stream. So we'll bring a lot of our focus in there.
Cool. So. If we want to pop up the structure just to get a quick look at that so we know what we're going to be actually talking about. We have the casual side. Again, we've already talked about, so we won't really be going over it. But we also have the competitive side. And we know that you all wanted to see cards. That's what a lot of you show up for our live streams, is to see some of these brand new cards and all the cool things we're doing.
So we're not going to do that today.
We are going to be doing that, but not for the competitive scene. So we are going to show you now up on screen 2 cards that will be in the weekly play kits, correct?
Yep. So the thing I do want to point out is, yes, we're talking about competitive today, but we're not showing off any of those cards, and you'll understand why in just a little bit. So we are showing something that will be available in our weekly play kit on that casual side.
Yeah, so The Green Squadron A-Wing.
Yeah.
It's a cool card.
You never talk about this
No,
card.
I never
This
talk about that
is
card.
Definitely not your favorite card in the set, right?
Oh, favorite unit. It's up there. Top 3 for sure for its favorite
Okay.
unit. It's really good. But let us know what you all think of it as well. We put both versions up there so you can see how cool that OP frame is because it is just gorgeous.
Yeah. I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's really neat. And so what is competitive play? Let's get into what the structure looks like there on that side of things.
Yeah, so as everybody knows, we do have the 2 structures. We got our casual side that we've talked about a bunch. Again, Xander said you can go check out the live stream, the article that already exists. Today we're going to be talking a lot more about this competitive side of things and what makes competitive play different from the casual side of things and stand out is that this is really focusing on those competitive players and doing well at an event, where on the casual side, we want you to play, we want you to enjoy like that store showdown, but it is designed to be a more casual, more lighthearted, just, laid back thing to do. This is all about the competition on the competitive side. And with that, all of the qualifying events, so the 3 events that you see outside of the Galactic Championship on that image, are going to give out tournament points. So the tournament point system is a system that is going to build throughout the season, and anybody who achieves the tournament point threshold, just for example, I'm gonna use a 100-point threshold while we're talking about it today. None of these numbers are the final numbers that will exist, but just to simplify things, so with that 100-point threshold, if you're playing in these events through the year and you ever achieve that 100 points, you will have that invitation to your Galactic Championship. So it's a little bit different than what we've done in the past, where you win an event, you get an invitation, or you are top 8 in an event, you automatically get. This way, people who aren't in that top spot or in those, high ranked positions still have the opportunity to accumulate points throughout the rest of the season to get that invitation.
So it would be good for players like myself or you, if we could play in the competitive stuff,
If
it'd
we
be
could,
nice.
yes.
Yeah. it'd be great reward for showing up to many events rather than maybe topping at each event.
Exactly. Because we all know, no matter how much I love the game, I'm not going to do that well at it and would never be in those higher echelons of players.
No, I play for fun. I wish I was that good.
Right.
I know Jeremy's weren't here. Not going to pretend.
Nobody can be Jeremy's, and that's why Jeremy has to design the games, because if he plays them, he just wins.
Yeah.
So
keep an eye out at your locals because he's
Right.
he's going to be there.
Watch for the name.
Yes, watch for the name. Cool. So let's jump into it. We talked about tournament points, but let's start with the base of the competitive structure. So the planetary qualifiers.
Yeah. So Planetary Qualifier, for anybody who has paid attention to that image of the competitive structure, you will notice that the planetary is a much wider and shorter title. The reason that it is that way is because this is going to be the most accessible of the competitive events. I will also point out that you won't see a Planetary Qualifier for set 1. That is going to start with set 2, and there's a good reason for that I'll get into in just a minute. But yes, most wide-reaching, this is a store-level event. So this will be able to be run by those top-level stores around the world, making sure that players are able to attend an event without having to go to a convention center and doing something a little bit, on the larger scale, but still be able to play the game in that competitive scene. But it's shorter than the other 2 because it isn't going to be worth as many points. Obviously, it's a bigger event, it's a more accessible event. It won't be worth quite the tournament points, and I realize I'm looking at the wrong camera. So they're changing it on me, and there's no red light.
And you're not used to sitting on that side
No,
either,
and
so it
it's
makes
so
it so much
weird.
harder.
But yeah, so not going to be worth as many points. But one thing that we do want to do is, as we've done in the past, we want to make sure that the winner of that event does get an invitation. So I will tell you right now, using that base level 100-point scale that I was talking about earlier, if you win a planetary, you are going to end with those 100 points or whatever that qualifying number is, and you will walk out the door of your store with an invite to the Galactic Championship. Obviously, those that do well in the event will still get some points, but it's not going to be anywhere near that high threshold of an automatic invitation to the event. In addition to that, a couple things that I want to point out just about the event as a whole. This will be a single day event, as it's being run in stores. We're not going to have them running 2-day events where people who are traveling then have to get a hotel room and, all of these additional things that you don't want to necessarily have to deal with at a store level event. And then getting back to the reason that we're starting with set 2, this was intentional. We went back and forth a lot on starting right out the gate or pushing it back a little bit. We landed with set 2 because we want to make sure that our players, which we know there are a lot of already competitive players that are excited for this game, but there are a lot of players that are just going to be getting into TCGs and have never played competitively. We want to give them a chance to hit up a planetary, or not a planetary qualifier yet, a store showdown, and get a feel for that. And then maybe for set 2, hit up another store showdown before they really start getting into that competitive structure. So we've built it this way to give people a little bit more time to grow into that competitive scene. And also, if we're being honest, single set meta isn't always the best thing, right? This gives players a whole other set of cards to work with and build with and really build a lot of variety into their decks. So yeah.
Great. So we do have a couple questions in the chat.
Yeah.
So let's start out with, can you tell us if there's going to be a judge program?
I can tell you that there is going to be a judge program, and that is all that I can say about that at this point in time. But yes, there will be a judge program for the game. We definitely want to make sure that this game is supported on our end, the store's end, but also on that judge level, because we want to make sure that all of our events that people are attending are fair and uniform and everything just feels right. So we definitely want to have a program in place for that.
Awesome. And I know people are asking as well if there's going to be plans for demo events or things like that in store before launch of the game, so that way people can, get a chance to play the game without showing up to these conventions that we've been at.
So I can't get into a lot of detail on that, but short answer is something's highlighted, and short answer is yes. There will be things where you can interact with the game at store level. I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this. But yes, there will be something. We're not talking about that in detail today, but the answer is yes.
Cool. And then we'll do one more question for now, which is, do we plan on having our own tournament software?
Yes. Yes, we do. And again, I looked at the wrong camera. Man, I'm really bad at this game. I need to sit over there.
We'll switch right now.
Yeah, just swap seats. But yes, there will be a tournament software. The tournament software will be an FFG proprietary software. There are a couple things with it. We'll get into more details about it, especially when talking to retailers later. But there are a couple things we needed to have built in, like the ability to function offline, because we've all been to conventions, and we know that internet is not always the best at a convention center, and making sure that you have something that can still run even when you don't have some of those things that you would need to run other tournament softwares that we've had in the past or other tournament softwares out there. We wanted to make sure to have something unique and special for our players in our stores.
Great. And so I know we're getting questions as well about tournament points. We won't be going too much more into that today, but expect more news on actual numbers and things. We were just obviously giving hypotheticals about that, and some of those things about how to track them, how you'll know where you're sitting on your way to the Galactic Championship is something we'll be talking about more as we go into detail about some of these specific events down the line.
Right.
So today's more of just an overarching, here's what it's going to look like overall, and then we'll go back into detail, when we start revealing kits and things in the future.
The only thing that I will say is, as gamers, we know that if you're earning something, you need to be able to see and know where that is and track it. So we're not going to build a thing and not allow you to track it. That's what I'll say for today.
Exactly. So we've gone over Planetary.
Yep, Planetary, store level. Yes. Only store level competitive event.
All right, so are you ready to get into sector qualifiers?
Let's do it.
All right, so the next section is sector qualifiers. What sets a sector qualifier apart from a planetary or a regional?
Yeah, so the sector qualifier is the first standalone event that we will be hosting on our competitive side. So when I say standalone, I do want to explain it because it's going to look a little bit different than some of the things that we as FFG have done in the past. Again, new game, new structure. We want to make sure that we're doing things in the way that we feel is improving wherever we can, right? So with a standalone event, what that means is I don't have any intention to run one of these at Gen Con. or at Spiel or the other events that we've attended. We want to have events there. Absolutely. We will be doing things for Star Wars Unlimited at those big events. But I want to make sure that we are not bringing somebody into an event and then locking them down in our tournament all weekend long, and they're missing out on the event that they've paid for a ticket for, right? Using Gen Con as an example. So yeah, these are standalone. These will happen at convention centers around the globe. The quantity of them, we're not going to get too in the weeds, but expect about one a month. So we're going to have these pretty regularly throughout the year, again, around the globe. And if you were paying attention to the size of that image as well, these are going to be fewer, as I said, about one a month, but fewer than the Planetary Qualifiers, but worth a lot more points than those Planetary Qualifiers. So at these events, again, using this hypothetical 100-point scale, if you do well enough in the event to be in the top 8 or top 16 based on the number of players that actually show up to the event, you will be getting enough tournament points to get into that Galactic Championship. Again, with everybody below that getting another number, lower number, but still being able to accumulate those points throughout the year. So with these being, standalone events, we also have a lot more access to do different things than we can when we're working with stores and the, size limitations and time limitations that stores have. So all of these events are planned to be 2-day events with a day of Swiss, followed by a day of, day 2 top play, whether that's more Swiss, top cut rounds, single elimination, things like that. That will all exist over these 2 days. But as these are standalone, we also have a lot of space we can work with for things that aren't just the main event, right? So our plan at all of these sector qualifiers is to have a prize wall and to be hosting side events throughout the weekend, giving the people who maybe decide that they're done in the main event and just want to do something else that's a little more laid back and relaxed, or the people who don't really care to play in competitive events to have a reason to be there and stay on site and hang out and just engage with the game. Because one of our 3 C's is connect. We want to make sure people are still engaged and excited about the game at all levels. And that's, I think, the gist for our sectors. We'll talk about the timing of this when we talk about regionals as well, because they're kind of lumped together.
And one question I saw were people asking, what is like a top store for those planetaries and sectors of, are they going to be all over? Will I have the chance in like my region to get to things?
Yeah.
And that is a part of the plan, right? To have these in different places each time.
Yes.
We don't want to focus on one spot around. And like you said, global every time, right?
Right. Yes. This is a global program. We want to make sure that people have access to this no matter where they live. Obviously, we're not going to have one in your backyard, but we're going to get as spread out as we can and as accessible as possible. And when I talked about the top stores, that is a conversation that we are having with all of the distribution partners that we have around the world. Obviously, as Asmodee, we are a big global company, and we have teams that work directly with the stores. So we're going to work closely with them to pick those stores that have the most space and have the most accessibility for hosting a large event like this.
Cool. And so there's 2 questions that I wanted to get back to before we go. So sectors are open entry.
Sectors are open, yes.
So you can just show up.
Anybody can show up and play.
Great. And the second one was someone is asking about promo cards for like conventions and different things. And will those be like alternate art or treatments, or will they be, mechanically unique or something?
Yeah, that is a great question. So when it comes to the events that we're running at, like the Gen Cons and things, you've obviously seen what we're doing with promo cards. We want to provide something that is unique in the way that it looks and give people who are interacting with the game something cool. For every sector or regional or planetary that you attend, you will be getting a specific card for that season for the event that you attend. So there will be participation at all of these levels that is a unique card that is not necessarily the same as what you're going to get at one of the Gen Cons or Spiels or things like that. Mm-hmm. So there will be unique treatments to cards that exist in the pool. For organized play, I will never plan, I will never do a mechanically unique card that is locked down to organized play. There are some really cool ways to give people cool content, that is not one of the things that I want to do, because I feel that that limits the content more than anything else. So I want to make sure that what we're giving people are just really cool versions of tournament legal cards or already accessible cards.
Cool. And I saw one more question that was about how many people for the Galactic Championship, and we're not going to answer that right now. Again, we're not getting into any of the specifics of numbers, no. So this is, again, more about the format of what things are going to look like.
Yep.
To give you a taste of that before now. We don't want to give you all of the answers right here because some things could change. But we have, this is what we want to tell you all about these numbers right now and what we can tell you.
Well, and actually, I will follow up with that just very briefly.
Ooh.
There isn't a set number. I'm assuming that was the number of attendees at the Galactic Championship, right? So as I stated for the sector qualifier, there will be different levels of points given out based on the number of entrants. The more players we have, the deeper we're going to give out more points. So that number can and will fluctuate every year, right? The intent is that the Galactic Championship is a little bit fluid based on how many people are attending and playing the game, because I don't want to have a 64-player event where the top 8 get to go, and then a 920-player event where the top 8 get to go, right? So that number will adjust through the year, and we will just plan and build that into our Galactic Championship structure and how that event will function.
Cool. Great. So we'll move on, and we'll come back to some of the other questions that we might have seen as we go on, but we'll get into regional qualifiers.
Yeah. So regional qualifier, see it on the screen right now. This event, again, narrower, taller, going to be worth a whole lot more as players are going to attend. There will be fewer of them happening throughout the season. This is probably going to be closer to every other month. So they won't be as regular. These are going to be events that we are going to spread around the world. Obviously, a little bit more limited than those sector qualifiers will be because we're not hosting as many. But in a lot of ways, these are going to be very comparable, very similar to the sector qualifier. They're just going to give out more points. They're going to be a little bit more limited into like the regions and the areas that we're hosting them in. There may be, and this is something that will come with future OP announcements, but there may even be a unique structure that we talk about doing at this tier of event, because this is, other than the Galactic Championship, the highest level of competition that you should see for this game. So it gives us a little bit of room to do something a little bit different and see how that works.
Cool. And so are you also, for these events, all of these, are you comfortable with saying what the format is for like the main event?
Draft across, it's not going to be draft across the board. I love draft so much personally, but no, these will all be constructed events. I say that they're all going to be constructed events. This is for year one. We don't want to throw a wrench into too many things, as you've seen from like how we're releasing the game and how we're putting content out there for you all to, absorb. We're keeping it as straightforward as possible out the gate. We want people to feel comfortable and familiar with what we're doing. So that is what we are doing with organized play as well. We are going to start with constructed, and then that gives us room over, time and over years of play to grow and adapt and to build out different structures and maybe even have 2 parallel structures within competitive play, right? Mm-hmm. So it gives us a lot of opportunity to grow, but to start, it will just be simple and straightforward.
Fair. And so I also saw that someone was asking about live streaming at big events. You can answer this very broadly about, is that like a possibility or something that you're looking into?
Yes, that is something that we want to do at every one of our large events, is get live streams out there, get people to be able to absorb that content when they can't go. Because I can't even go to every event, and it's kind of my job. So I understand that you're not going to be able to go to every event, but we still want to be able to engage with it. And I still want to see who's doing well and what decks are doing well. So I'll be able to pull up the streams when I'm not there.
Yeah, I need to learn what decks to be running when I'm playing here at the office. So learning from those would be great.
Exactly.
Cool. So when can we expect to start seeing some of these larger events past Planetary? You said Planetary Set 2 is when people can start seeing that. So when are we going to start seeing sectors and regionals?
Yeah, so sectors and regionals are going to be starting in 2025. The reason for this, again, is just like that Planetary Qualifier. We want people to have time to build and get comfortable in that competitive scene. So what that means is they've got time from set 1 to figure out if they want to play in competitive and how they want to engage with that. Set 2, they've started with Planetary Qualifiers. Set 3, another Planetary Qualifier, and then we're looking into 2025 and getting these big events to start kicking off and start running regularly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very interesting. All right, so this has all been leading up to this one thing.
Yes.
Which is the Galactic Championship.
Yes.
So what can you tell me about the Galactic Championship, or at least Galactic Championship year 1 now?
Right. It's a tournament. Yay!
Makes sense.
So as I've talked about with all the tournament points that people are acquiring throughout the season of play, the Galactic Championship is going to be where all of those points are used. If you have reached that threshold, you are invited to the Galactic Championship. This event will be invitation only with a caveat. So we are starting our competitive cycle in 2025, which would not be a very long season because we plan on hosting the Galactic Championship sometime in the summer every year, because that's when most people will have time off and are most accessible. So we will be hosting these in the summer, which means if we're not starting until 2025, we're only a few months in before the first Galactic Championship. So the first Galactic Championship is going to stand out and be a little bit different than the norm. The first one will not use any tournament points and will be an open invitation. So anybody will be able to play in that first Galactic Championship just by signing up and getting a ticket. Obviously, there might be a lot of people who want to get in. We will be limited on space, so not everybody will be able to get that ticket, but as it's open, we'll make sure to open it up in waves and cycles so that people have access. But a standard Galactic Championship will not look like that first one. It will use that year's worth of points to get those invites. So for the first invitation-only Galactic Championship, which will be in 2026, you will be collecting points a little bit longer than normal. So again, that's part of building into this ramp up. Like, we want to make sure people are getting in and playing. And for people that maybe don't play in the first couple sets and are introduced to the game in set 3 or 4, they still have time to get in and play and get into that competitive structure the way that they want to.
So it's almost like a celebration of Star Wars Unlimited at that point for that first World Championship. If you've been playing and following along right now, we'll see you there, basically. Yeah, like if you want to be there, you can be there. And then from there, I mean, those tournament points for that first year are still going towards something. So you don't have to feel like it's a waste or you're not getting your money's worth out of it from getting that invite. You get an invite 2 years in a row, basically, if you wanted to.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yep.
So we can go and answer some questions, Josh, if there's any up there that you think.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. For limited competitive OP, answer if we can. We kind of talked about that a little bit. We're starting with constructed. So we will leave that as is for now. We're starting with constructed.
Holocron over on the chat asks, will points accumulate be calendar year or Galactic Championship to Galactic Championship?
It's championship to championship. It is the year of Star Wars Unlimited, not a calendar year. So especially with our event happening in the summer, that would just split things very, very awkwardly. So yeah, it will be a cycle for the program.
And for those asking about where they can find events like planetaries or weekly plays or showdowns, we will have an event locator to find events near you on our website. So there's no worries about, I need to call every single shop in a 4-hour radius to find them. You'll be able to search them online. And then find out from there. Maybe still call them to make sure it's still on that week or something.
Right, exactly.
You'll be able to find them at least.
Yeah, we'll talk a lot more details about the website in a future stream. Don't you worry about that.
It's going to be fun. The website's really cool.
Yep.
Do you feel comfortable answering the rest? Any of the rest?
Yeah. So, standard competitive format, best of 1 or best of 3. That, again, it's very important that we do best of 3 wherever possible. Best of 1, you don't really get a good gauge of your opponent, and with other things that exist for this game, sideboards and whatnot, best of 1 just doesn't really work or make sense for a lot of competitive play. So it will be best of 3. Round time is something we have been doing a lot of testing on internally to make sure that we do have that figured out. I think we're in a good spot now. I'm not going to tell you what it is. We'll talk more about that later just to make sure I'm not telling you something and then it changes by 5 minutes. So I don't want to be a liar. Not today. Not today.
And you mentioned sideboard?
I did mention a sideboard. I threw it out there. It's on there. Yeah, sideboards are going to be a thing for our competitive events. Stay tuned for more information on that. And then rotation. Rotation is absolutely going to be a thing. We're not going to get into details about it today, but we understand that playing cards from, let's just, fast forward to the future. Game comes out next year in 24, and we're in 2034, 10 years after the game's out. There are going to be cards in the new set that just break things from set one and vice versa. There will absolutely be a rotation. I see there was a question about age divisions. Age divisions are an option. They're not something we're looking towards right out the gate. We do, from my history, I do know that Star Wars might attract a little bit of a younger audience than what we're used to for a lot of our competitive games. So it is something that is a possibility, but not something we're planning to initially.
Cool.
Yeah. And that was answering questions, but I still didn't finish Galactic Championship.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, well, let's get back into it.
Yeah, so Galactic Championship is a 3-day event. This is going to be a little bit different than the sectors and regionals. It's going to take longer. We're going to have a lot more people. There's going to be a lot more excitement and hype around the event. Day 1 is going to host most of the players. And I say that because we are going to be using this tournament point system for more than just your invitation. For those players that are at the top of a leaderboard every year, leaderboard that you will be able to track via some means I am not talking about yet today, but for those players that are at the top of the leaderboard, they will be getting an invitation to the Galactic Championship, but directly to day 2. So for those top players through the season, those that are the most engaged, those are doing the best throughout the season, they are going to be able to bypass that first day of play and be able to make it directly into the next day. So then day 2 will be more rounds of Swiss, more gameplay, and then a day 3 will be all about the finals and about that big, exciting, final games of the year, right?
Yeah.
And then with this, obviously, planning on having side events throughout. Side events are very important at this event because, as I said, day 1 is a big event with most players participating. And not everybody is going to make it from day 1 to day 2. That's just the way it's going to be. Because of that, we want to make sure that one of our side events is a big side event. So we are going to host the first sector qualifier for the following season at the Galactic Championship. So that will mean that players are walking out the door who didn't make it to day 2 with an invitation to next year's Galactic Championship by playing in that side event sector qualifier.
That's pretty intense.
Yeah. Yep.
The competition doesn't stop. That's great.
No, it doesn't. For those that want to compete, we want to make sure they can compete, right? You are there to play in a competitive structure, and if you don't make it past day 1 because of bad luck, because you, threw up on your opponent's shoe and we kicked you out of the room for a little bit, I don't know, anything can happen. We still want you to be able to play competitively because that's why you're here. But we also are going to have side events. For those that don't want to play competitively, we'll have those more lighthearted, more casual side events happening throughout the weekend as well. One thing that I will point out with this, because some people might be looking at this thinking, yeah, that sounds really cool, but if I make day 2 and then don't do super well in day 2, and people are then getting an invite to next year's Galactic Championship because they didn't make day 2, don't worry. Anybody who makes day 2 will automatically qualify for some number of tournament points for the next season that pushes you towards that invitation. So, yeah.
That's
Galactic Championship isn't just the Galactic Championship. It's your path to the next Galactic Championship.
Just keeps rolling. Love it.
Yep.
So we know that people are also asking about prize support for these events. There will be prize support.
Yes, there will be prize support. We are not talking a lot about prize support today because we are going to be revealing those as other exciting beats that we have planned. But there will be prizes. The prizes, I think, are pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're working very closely with our friends at Lucasfilm and with our internal teams to make sure that those prizes are the best that they can be.
They're really cool. Some of the preliminary stuff that I've seen
Yeah.
put together is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I'm very excited for it.
Awesome. So, is there anything else you'd like to say about the competitive structure as a whole before we go to our closing notes and things?
I think we've knocked out pretty much all of it structure-wise. Obviously, there's a lot more prizing to talk about. There's a lot more stuff that we can get into and will get into. You just have to be patient, but they're not starting until 25 for the big events at least, right?
Yeah.
So people have time to, still get excited about it.
That's fair. So I just read that someone asked if we could get one more card reveal. Think we can do one more card reveal?
No, not until I answer this other question.
Oh, let's see. What other question we got?
The question was about rotation. Rotation is going to be a thing. That question was followed up by ban list or erratas of certain cards. Obviously, I think our devs are the best devs that exist in the world, and everything that they do is perfect, and this will never ever happen. But I am also realistic. There is a world where, yes, cards will need to be banned because of interactions that we, with our large number of playtesters, did not run into. Because our playtesters are very different than the world getting access to the game. So we will be discussing ban lists and erratas as needed, and as those things come up, it's something we are aware of and have a plan for, but we're not planning on because, again, our devs are the best.
Yeah, perfect in every way.
Everything that they do is just wonderful and amazing.
Yep. And I hope they're watching right now because I won't say it against their faces.
Right. And we did have another question about the sector that happens at the Galactic Championship.
Yeah.
So for that event, that will be an event that is open to the public. And I say that with one caveat. Obviously, we are hosting this in a convention center, and we will have limitations based on fire code and how many people can be in the building at a time. We will have tickets sold for anybody who's attending the event, or tickets accounted for, and then for those people who are just attending to play inside events and whatnot. So we will just need to make sure, obviously, that we have the space for it to be this open event. But as long as there is space, yes, it is open to more people than are just there for the Galactic Championship.
Amazing.
All right.
All right.
I think I'm done now.
You think you're done? Okay. Well, thank you all for the questions there in chat, and hopefully we could answer most of them for you. But we did see the thing about a card reveal, and
Yeah, we did.
You do deserve that. So here is the Academy Defense Walker, which is a 6 cost, 5 power, 5 HP Sentinel, which is just great to start. Then when played, it gives an experience token to each friendly damage unit, and I can already tell you which leaders are looking for that. And I'm sure they don't need me to name them. So yeah, really cool card. I wanted to show that one off today because I enjoyed that and the A-Wing, so it was like personal preference of which ones got revealed today.
It was weird because, you've been out a bunch, obviously traveling for events, came back today and we were like, hey, what cards should we reveal on the stream? And you're just like, my favorites.
Yeah. I was tired of not talking about them at events, so now I can, and that was the whole game plan from the start.
You did it.
It was great.
Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you. We already mentioned most of the things here about the competitive cycle that we could say already, but there will be an article going up on our website shortly covering most of this again. That way you all can read it and go back and take notes again if something wasn't clear from us.
Yeah.
We also will be attending PAX U. So PAX Unplugged in Philly, December 1st through the 3rd?
The first weekend of December, yeah.
And we'll both be there?
That's, as far as I know, we will both be there.
We'll both be hanging out.
Yeah.
So really excited to see you all there. So please let us know if you're going to be there as well. And I would love to meet you all and play some games. We'll be doing demos. Again, demo decks will be there as well.
Yep.
And the promo cards that you've been seeing at the events that we've mentioned before.
Yeah.
So finally, I just want to throw out that you can find the article obviously on our website, but if you want to stay up to date with all the information that we've been putting out recently, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at UnlimitedFFG. And so please feel free to follow us there, check in. We usually post when we're going live, articles, cards, content creators, creations, which is super fun. And so we'd love to hear what you thought of the stream and what you think of some of the cards on our socials. So feel free to tag us when you're at the events and other places.
Yeah.
Cool.
And now is the time for my least favorite part of the stream.
Oh, no.
And it's not the goodbye, because that's normally my least favorite part of the stream, because I miss you all when you're gone. So Xander, You're sitting in that chair today because
Yes.
you're interviewing me.
Yes, it feels good.
You did a really good job.
Thank you.
Like better than I've ever done.
Oh, I don't know if I'd say that.
I
I've seen some
mean-
pretty good streams out of you.
I don't know. They're lackluster to say the least. So I think you should just do it.
Just do it.
Just from now on.
From now on, just hang on
take
this chair.
over. Just you sit in that chair, and I show up to talk about OP when there's time to talk about OP.
So it's a big seat to fill.
I mean,
It's just like physically large.
It's a fairly
seat.
large chair.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would love to though, and so this is formally handing the crown
Yep.
of host here over, but you will be around plenty.
Oh, yeah.
as we
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
about
yeah. I'm not
organized
going
play,
anywhere.
how people are doing at tournaments, all the fun things that we're super excited to chat about. You'll still be around for.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He's not going anywhere. So
No, you're still stuck with me whether you like it or not.
Yes, the Josh Massey fans rejoice. He'll be around.
I love the live edit excitement in the chat. I love that was one of the first comments that popped up. Hey, look at the live edit. We had some people very proud of that behind the camera, so I'm
Yes.
glad that it was noticed.
Shout out to Mason, our graphic designer. It was his idea.
Yes.
So credit where credit is due.
Yes.
But yeah, so that closes us out for today.
Yeah.
All the big news, all the things you're excited to hear about. So stay tuned to our socials to hear about when we'll be going live next month and what we'll be chatting about. So thank you all for joining us. And thank you, Josh, for coming on to explain competitive organized play. And we'll see you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.